don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
What is up, Titans Nation? Welcome in to the 615. It's your host, Lee Hillis. And yes, welcome in to the SeatGeek Studios. First off, we have to give a quick shout out to our partners over at SeatGeek. You can use our code 615podcast. That is 615 PODCAST at checkout for $20 off your first order of $50 or more on SeatGeek.com or on the SeatGeek app. Well, Tyler and Josh could not make it tonight, but we have one of our good friends from the Titans Coliseum podcast, Firestone. What's up, dude?
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me and ready to talk some Titans football. I'm sorry the other guys couldn't be here, but man, we're gonna hold it down for them in their absentees and put on a good show.
Hold down the fort.
Absolutely.
But with the off season fully being in full swing, Senior Bowl's this week, but we have to talk about something shady in the NFL that went down. In Jacksonville, Liam Cohen announced as the new head coach early this week. And just to give you a quick timeline, Liam Cohen was offered a new contract to be the highest paid coordinator in the NFL by Tampa Bay. He hops on a flight to Jacksonville, tells the Buccaneers that he's at the doctor with his sick son. Next day, it's announced that he's the new head coach of Jacksonville. Tell me that's not a little shady.
If that's all there's like, I didn't hear about this till you brought it up to me about the show, so I was like, oh man, I didn't know this. This is gonna be a good little thing, a good topic to talk about. So yeah, it's a little shady. At least kind of tell them what you're doing, where you're going, how you're doing things. But I get it from his perspective of like, all right, I don't want to tell them that I'm going to go do this because then they might withdraw. Because some jobs, you give them your 2-week notice, they're like, well, you might as well just leave. And I know it's NFL, maybe it's a little different, but I get how some people's like, maybe I don't want the Jacksonville job, and then I do want to come back and take this. I don't want to mess up my money by making sure I check out all possibilities beforehand. So yes, it's a little shady. I understand where he would kind of think that, but at the same time, I'm a little bit with you. It doesn't look good from the perspective. Plus, I don't know if it's just me. Doesn't he kind of look like Will Levis? And they just look like they hired a Will Levis head coach. And in a way, he said, Duval, this does not seem like a team I am going to be worried about in 2025.
How funny would it be if the Titans released Will Levis and he ends up in Jacksonville playing for Liam Cohen, who was his offensive coordinator? He was his offensive coordinator at Kentucky.
Bro, I just feel like they had a Will Levis lookalike contest, and the guy who won the contest got the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching job.
But that is the only big thing. Pete Carroll is now the head coach in Vegas.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you saw like Marshawn Lynch was there too. He yelled out Raiders when he was in there for him, so he's excited about that. This conference, man.
How funny would it be if Marshawn goes there and becomes the running backs coach?
Hey, he's shown interest in there, and I can see like Pete Carroll still gets him fired up and gets him motivated. So if anybody could probably bring Marshawn in the NFL and coach, it probably is going to be Pete Carroll to do that.
Yeah. And with Pete Carroll there, Mad Max is going nowhere.
Facts.
The only team in that division that doesn't have a quarterback is Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Could they get that quarterback this year?
Oh, absolutely. Now, whether it's going to be the draft or free agency, we're going to see. We're going to see how active they are in free agency, what QBs are actually going to be in there, and then if they're going to have to, if they're going to go on, if they're going to go grab the QB that they want, they're going to have to move up in the draft. I don't think that they're going to settle for a Carson Beck or a
Well, Beck,
Jackson Dart. Oh, Beck is going back into college, so yeah, he's not even there no more. So, uh,
Ewers.
Dart. Yeah, so I don't think they're gonna settle for, like, Jackson Dart or anybody like that, I don't
Could you see
so
a
if
situation? Could you see a situation where they trade up to 2 with Cleveland? Because Cleveland does not need a quarterback.
I could I could see that, yes, I could absolutely see that, especially with
Yeah,
if we
a
stay
guy
on
like Shador.
Ward. Like, if Titans stay on the clock at 1 and we take Ward and Browns are sitting there and they know that, like, we need a QB, Dion's already said Shador's not coming here. He listed very few teams he doesn't want his son being a part of. This is one of them. Why not go ahead and get some draft capital, maybe trade back just a little bit, let Raiders move up, and you can still maybe get somebody in the later round. So I can definitely see that, but I would
Yeah,
still the hell out of the Raiders to move up to that number 2 slot.
but the Titans made a few moves themselves, starting with the coaching staff. The following coaches will not return to Callahan's staff in 2025: Colt Anderson, Chris Harris, Justin Otten, and Anthony Levine. But what I'm fixing to read came out from Jim Wyatt. New hires: John Fossil, aka Bones, is the new special teams coordinator. Raina Stewart, assistant special teams coordinator. Um, Stewart was a former Houston Oiler. Came over with Fossil from Dallas. Tony Oden, passing game coordinator and cornerbacks coach. So he coached Sauce Gardner. Promotions internally: Luke Stalker has been promoted to the new tight ends coach. I kind of like that move.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Stalker, so
Well,
I'm gonna see.
he also played for the Titans.
Right, but most of our coaches have also played as well. But
Yeah,
just because you understand the game, don't mean you know how to teach the game. Like, you can know the hell out the game, but also not know how to
yeah.
teach it to get to where other people understand. So I'll just see how it actually translates to players on that. So I'm not upset. I don't know much, so I'll just pay attention and see how he does at
How
that and
how
see
the
how our
tight
tight
ends
ends
do.
perform, because they gotta step up. Chig and Wiley gotta do better this year.
Yeah.
They gotta get them more involved.
Um, Another list: coaches who will not return: Colt Anderson, Chris Harris, Justin Otten, Anthony Levine, and Clint McMillan, former defensive assistant, will be joining Mike Vrabel's staff in New England.
Yep. Yep.
So
And I knew
Titans, the way it looks, the Titans have cleaned house, but as we were talking before, there might be more to come.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some more changes to come, and they're going to be smaller names that you probably won't get to see or hear or even recognize, that are people just there in the office moving around, making the everyday work go along for these higher ranking guys that you kind of pay more attention to, like the general managers and scouting departments and stuff like that. So there's going to be some more changes in those areas, but I'm glad that the Colt Anderson thing is gone. That's what I was clapping for. The Chris Harris, I knew this was coming with him, because just of how the play has been coming, just because of how they kept him around after firing Vrabel, then they brought Denard around. But you can tell Chris Harris is trying to work up to DC. He wanted that job, and you can kind
Yeah.
of tell under Denard it's going to be very hard for you to stand out, because Denard shines very, very bright with his knowledge and how he says things. So, as anybody, sometimes you need to change locations so you can show people who you can be to set yourself up for success. And I think that's what Chris Harris is doing. He's moving on to a better situation, so for his career he can achieve the end goal. But at the beginning of the year, I knew Chris was probably going to be one of those guys gone. And then once we fired Rand, I knew he was definitely going to be gone, because when we fired Vrabel, Rand said, we want some of these coaches to stick around because we really think they're really good coaches. Chris Harris is one of those guys he was talking about.
That's funny that Rand's like that. But the Titans made other moves, front office related. Dave Ziegler, the Titans hired him to become the next assistant GM, former Raiders GM. And then you have another former Raiders GM in Reggie McKenzie, Tennessee born and raised. His son is Khalil McKenzie, former Tennessee offensive lineman. Will he join the Titans front office as a scouting senior in a senior scouting role? So, could this be a good thing?
To me, it's not. I'll be honest. To me, it's not a good thing, because it feels like you're putting too many hats in the ring. You don't. For me, I've said this even when we fired Vrabel. It doesn't seem like Miss Amy in the head of this organization actually knows what they want the Tennessee Titans to be. They know what they want them to achieve and accomplish, which is Super Bowl, win games, be competitive, but they don't actually know what they want the identity, the culture, and the theme of the Tennessee Titans to be. It seems like they're constantly waiting for somebody to show up and sell them on what the vision and what the Tennessee Titans should be. And this is what this feels like. You had a bunch of GMs you wanted, you went and got Mike, but now let's bring some other guys around us. Let's just try to get as many people around us. Y'all hiring a bunch of former GMs and putting around, and it feels like there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen trying to cook, but who is actually going to be the lead guy? And the lead guy sounds like Brinker right now, but you got a lot of guys that are used to being the guys. How is all that going to work together? Because they've preached, this word we
Collaboration.
all hate. Yeah, that's that word. They preach that word constantly for the past 2 years. How are you actually going to collaborate? How you actually, how is all these guys going to actually work together? You got a bunch of big names. We got big name rosters last year, but it didn't accumulate the wins. So all these hires look good. How's it actually going to turn out, though? How are y'all going to play well together?
So, from what I've seen and what I'm hearing, and this is going back to the presser last week, that it looks like Brinker will handle the front office side of it, and Borgonzi will handle the other side of it.
Yeah, see, the thing is, they say a lot of things, but they don't mean them. How many
they
more
say
times
one thing but mean a mother? They say one thing but mean it something else.
Correct. And how many times do they got to constantly come and lie to our faces, and we're still going to take it face value for everything that they say? That John Robinson's our guy of the future. We like him. We fire him a few months later. Mike Vrabel's our guy of the future. We believe we got a future head coach, Hall of Fame type guy. ESPN come out here and do an article on Mike Vrabel, how he's the guy for us. 2 months later, he's fired. Rand is good. He's fired. Everything else, AJ's not going nowhere. We trade AJ. Amy comes out and talks about, this ain't my dad's team no more. We're going to be competent and competitive. The Vrabel record is not good enough. Then we come out and do this. How many times they talk good, but they don't sit there and perform? It's like being in an abusive relationship and they got cheated. They come back and they apologize so damn good, but they're going to cheat again. They're going to do something.
Speaking of Amy, she wasn't at the presser. Does it seem like she is taking a step back, throwing her hands like, I'm letting Brinker handle this from now on? I'll still pour money into it. But I'm going hands off.
No, I think she's still hiding.
Does it seem like that's what she's doing?
I don't feel like, I know that's the narrative they like to sell. It's like she's empowering the people in their positions to be them in their positions. Cool. That's fine when the organization and the company runs fine. But when you keep changing out the managers in a company, I don't want to keep hearing from the new managers. I want to hear from the owner that keeps having all this turnaround and keeps firing everybody.
Exactly.
And every year I got to hear a new pitch and a new vision from somebody that's not going to last 2 years. So no, like that's cool. That can happen when everything's working fine. But when we're constantly having this turnover, we're constantly firing coaches, we're constantly getting new players in here. We need to hear from you because you're the head. You're the one constant that's been here since the
You're the one turning
Malarkey days.
everything. You're the
Correct.
one
Like
turning everything.
we've been trying to do these things and bounce back since the Malarkey days, and the one constant is Amy. That's the only one constant in this situation is Amy Adams Strunk since Malarkey days, and it's you got to come out here and handle it. And she's hiding because she knows if she shows up at that presser, even to take that picture, as any good reporter would, they're going
They
to
would
press
ask
her for
her.
questions. They're going to yell out, even if you don't, and it's not going to be a good look when you sit there and you be silent and don't answer to your fans. So you can't show up because you know you're not going to answer the questions, and that's a worse look than not showing up.
So the big thing we wanted to hit on tonight was safe, or who's safe, who's not. I went at it like this, starting off with who's safe, in my opinion. Ridley, Pollard, Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry. I think Jeff and Landry are both safe, along with Snead, Awuzie, and Hooker. And
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Firestone said something pretty interesting beforehand, before we started.
You want to pull that back up for me too? I want to look at that too. Yeah, bro. There's. I know normally they would feel like they're safe, and this is what I keep trying to remind fans this off season is because fans are emotional. We ride that roller coaster wave, and I don't want to take that away. But remember, we're fans and we ride that emotional roller coaster wave. Not everybody is emotionally invested to the team like we are. A lot of people are just business affected by the team, and that's all it is. It is a business to them. A
Yeah.
lot of people are still not happy. Excuse me. There's a lot of people in that locker room, or not in the locker room now, but that they're not happy and they're on this roster, and no hire is making them happy moving forward. It doesn't seem like, yeah, you're settling the fans and the PR is looking good, but that's something you also got to realize. The Titans PR team is a great PR team. Last year, they sold us hook, line, and sinker. They made everything look good. All these acquisitions, they did a beautiful job. It just didn't live up. So just realize PR is really good at their job, but you have to hold back and realize that the team so far does not live up to the hype, and it doesn't live up to the PR of the team, and it doesn't live up to the statements and what the front office people are saying. Just go back and read Miss Amy's statement that she said when she fired Vrabel. It's not the same that's going on. So I would watch Jeffrey, Landry, and possibly even Hooker. Those guys will be on border for me. NWI is, if there's another team interested, NWI is gone. He's been working the past 2 years trying to get out of a Tennessee Titans uniform and get to another team. And I think this year was the year he finally made his name in the NFL with being higher than Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase at one point with touchdown receptions. People took notice.
And George Kittle.
Yeah, and George Kittle. I would put Kenneth Murray on the border because too many people put the green dot situation on Kenneth Murray, and he's not that. When Ernest Jones was next to Kenneth Murray was doing good and doing what he had to do. You don't want Kenneth Murray in coverage. You don't want him being that guy. You want a guy next to him like Ernest was that is that guy, and then you just let Kenneth fly. See ball, hit ball. He does that well, but when you start making him have to do that other role, that's not it. Yes, so you don't want him on the running backs and tight ends going past. You want this guy, hey, anything past 5 yards, you let go. The other guys got it, but everything 5 yards and under, attack. You get everything 5 yards and under, attack. So as long as we get somebody next to him that's complimentary, he'll be nice, and he is nice. And I agree with everybody else that's not safe on that list.
Tyler and I, like we've both been saying, Burks is gone.
Yes.
Will Levis, we heard from Borgonzi saying, you want a quarterback that can lead. We don't see that with Will Levis here. NPF is hot garbage.
Yes.
Radens, when he has someone good next to him, he's okay. He's okay at best.
And that's what I say. A lot of people this year kept saying, Radens did good. He did better. No, if we had competent right tackle play this year, Radens would have stuck out like a sore thumb. There's so many times they pulled on run blocks, he missed a block, and it's a easy like it's him on a safety, and he can't get a block on the guy, and it wasn't like he can put a move on a coverage. It was your leverage. It was perfectly set up to you. He ran into the perfect block, and you still didn't get a hand on him. So he has to be going. We got to get that right side fixed. And MPF was done with me when he had to say that they had to tell him to fight and have a dog in him. How are you in the NFL and somebody still has to tell you got to fight and have a dog and stop letting people push you around? I just didn't like that.
And Arden Key, he's on the border for me also. If you can find that competent piece to line up opposite, if Landry's still here, if you can find that piece to line up opposite of Landry, he's gone. If he's on the roster, okay. If that competent piece is on the roster, okay. If it's not, where's he at?
So this would be my question to you, because now I just noticed this is that you got Jeffrey and Landry safe, and then Arden Key border. Sweat's obviously clearly safe because he's drafted, but the pass rush hasn't been good this year, and we need better play. So how can Landry be safe and Arden be on the border when Arden hasn't showed up for us all the past 2 or 3 years he's been with us, except the last 6 weeks? And you've heard people like Simmons and other people on the defensive line say guys are out here just dancing or doing one move and then just standing there and not giving effort. Just go watch the tape. You can see these guys. So who are they talking about? Because I don't see Arden Key as safe. I see him gone, or on border. I see him gone. Whether we want him or not, I don't think he wants to be here. But I also think the Titans think Arden is the one side that we definitely have to upgrade and get better at. Like, you can't have Simmons, Landry, and Sweat, and this is not getting production. It's not getting work. So I don't see how Arden Key can stay. He's a cool dude in the locker room and has that energy, and him and Simmons are really good friends. But he just hasn't performed here at all.
But we were talking about NWI. I'm like, I've got to show this. It is a minute, and it's like a minute and 51 seconds of nothing but NWI. Catches, touchdown catches, everything you can think of. His adjustments are so freaking crisp.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, I wonder how many different QBs NWI has caught passes from in a Titans uniform. I wonder how many it is for him
That would be a
because he's
great
been
thing to
around here
look up.
that because it has to be quite a few. He's been here what since the Mariota days?
5 years?
He's been here long enough to get two 1 year contracts after his first contract. So
Yeah,
yeah, 5 years, I think.
yeah. Um, but this past weekend, we figured out who's going to New Orleans. Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts.
Oh
AJ
yeah.
Brown, former Titan wide receiver AJ Brown, for the second time in 3 years, has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Does he finally
Yeah.
get a ring? Or do the Chiefs three-peat?
Ah, I know everybody's probably gonna hate to hear this, but I'm not putting my money not on the Chiefs right now. I'm not. They
The Bills
the
almost beat them.
every almost team almost beat them, and that's the argument. But I would rebuttal that and say the Chiefs don't Detroit Lions teams. They just do what's necessary to win. We ain't got to blow you out. We ain't got to show you that we're better. They're kind of like Fast and the Furious. Whether it's an inch or a mile, a win's a win, and all we got to do is do enough to beat you. We ain't got to beat you by 2 scores or 3 scores or put up 50 on you. We're just going to beat you. We're going to do enough to beat you, score enough points to beat you, and we're going to win the game. So I don't know. They could, but this is a hard one to pick because it comes down to coaching to me, and then it comes down to Patrick Mahomes to me. They're too clutch. The stat I saw the other day was when in the playoffs when the game is on the line on the last drive for a game-winning drive, whether it be a touchdown or field goals, most QBs or the completion percentage that they'll win the game is 40%. So 40% of the time on those game-winning drives that they are successful. Tom Brady was one of the best at that, and his completion was 43% of the time on game-winning drives in the playoffs. He won. Patrick Mahomes is 7 for 7 at 100%. That's not a guy I'm betting
Jesus.
against right now.
So Tyler made the statement the other night. If Kansas City scores 35 points, 35 plus, they win this ball game.
We're in New Orleans. It's in a dome. Yeah.
But if you look at what Saquon has done all year, including playoffs, he only has 5 games where he did not rush for 100 yards this season. 5 games. That's unheard of.
But this is the thing I'll always add into these things because, like, he's been doing great and he's been playing his ass off. But this is his first Super Bowl appearance. How's that moment going to weigh on you? How's that pressure that and not even just pressure, but that adrenaline rush that just comes over you when you're in that moment that is just so much electricity running through your body that you're like, I could run through 50 walls right now and not be stopped. Like how are you going to be able to tone that down and bring yourself back? Like a lot of people say we know that, but we've seen guys get to the Super Bowl and then it's so much it's a different atmosphere. So and you're playing against the Chiefs. Philly fans travel, Chiefs fans travel too. So it's going to be a loud stadium. It's going to be an exciting game. I know people didn't want to see these two teams again, but man, this is going to be, I think, an exciting Super Bowl to watch.
So the funny thing is who's calling this game? Tom Brady.
Oh, ah! Hold on, they gave Tom Brady the Super Bowl. I didn't know that.
The last team
This
he
is
beat
good.
in a Super Bowl versus the last team to beat him in the Super Bowl.
Oh crap, that is true. Oh
Yep.
wow. Yeah, no, yes. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Bro, but this is about to be some boring announcing. Oh, Tom Brady has not been doing. I know it's his first year and he'll get better, but whew, this ain't been
Tony
this bad since
Romo
Dennis
was
Miller.
better. Tony Romo was better in his first year than Tom Brady was.
Yes, but I also think Tony Romo had more prepping than Tom. But yes, but this Tom Brady announcement ain't been as bad since they brought in Dennis Miller to try to bring some comic relief. You remember that back in the day when they was
Oh,
trying to replace John and Pat Summerall, and they brought in that comedian, and it was just he was
horrific.
yeah, he was telling jokes on air, and they were not hitting, just bad. It's like, oh, please get this dude off. These jokes are horrible.
But for Senior Bowls this week, I have two clips. One's Mike Borgonzi talking about the guys that have it. And he mentions Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
Of course.
Some guys have it. They're just cool, calm under pressure. That's how Pat was, in Kansas City. So I've had a good view of that, for a while. And so is Brian with Joe. But those are the things you look for. It's exactly right. It's handling those critical moments, especially for that position.
Why does he look like he's been a member of the Mafia?
Bro, he does look like he would fit perfectly in one of those like Goodfella movies. He just
Like the
plays him right
Sopranos.
in there. Yes, Sopranos too. With all this stuff, like with he says, I have nothing wrong with what he says there. It all sounds good, but can you
Back
do
it
it
up.
though?
Can you back it up?
Yeah, can you actually find these guys? Can you actually know what it looks like when these guys have it? Because a lot of guys, this isn't foolproof. There's a lot of guys that look good on eye test stats, everything look good, but then there's just that it factor, that mentality you just can't get, that you can't understand how that next person's going to take the step. Like, oh, once I sign my NFL contract, I'm good, and they get complacent. But some people sign that first NFL contract and they get hungrier. So some things you don't know until you know. And can you figure it out? Can you actually do it? Can you duplicate drafting another Patrick Mahomes style, not that generational, but a face of the franchise that can actually lead the team?
And then Brian Callahan had something interesting to say.
I haven't seen much. That's the other part. I wish they were both doing these games, but they don't have to necessarily. So, but I really enjoyed meeting Shadura. Like the person is really fun guy to talk to. He's really sharp. You can see all the things. The maturity part of it is pretty impressive. I have not had a chance to meet Cam yet, but as far as the tape and all that stuff, they both do really good things on tape. They're in the discussion for a reason. They are the best quarterbacks that are coming out in this class. You could maybe put one or two other guys in the mix, but those guys are the best too. So we got to keep finding out more about them.
And it was talking about Shador Sanders and Cam Ward. In your opinion, do you take quarterback at one?
We talked about it on the show last night, the Cam Ward and Shador Sanders video
Argument.
that's on YouTube with them, and with them training that whole time. It was beautiful. That whole training session, watching them back and forth, them play, because you actually get to see them practice, you get to see their form, but then you get to see camaraderie back. It gives you so many angles to them. I really encourage you go watch it. It's Cam Ward, Shador Sanders training, I believe at SMU, but. For me, right now. I think so, and I'm leaning towards Cam. If I'm leaning more towards anybody, because Shador's having fun, he's joking around, this and that, and I have no problem with it whatsoever. I love those things about Shador. His dad is primetime. I expect nothing less from Shador than that, and I loved it. It was entertaining. I had fun watching it. But as Shador did those things and antics and messing and having fun with Cam, it's just, as much as I like those things from Shador, how Cam responded, I just loved even more. I just loved it. And by everything Shador did, once Cam responded, I was just like, yeah, that's the guy I want. Cool, calm, under pressure. He's quick with it. He's really fast with his talks.
The wisecracks, the comebacks.
And he doesn't get emotional. He doesn't get upset. He stays that same monotone level
He's
of I'm just
level-headed.
right here. But also, you can tell that I'm aggressive and I mean what I say and what's going on by what I said. So, I lead towards Cam right now for us drafting.
So I went through and did a mock early this morning at like 3 a.m. So this was a trade that was gave to me by Green Bay at pick 35, where I would get pick 54 in the second round, 67, or is that 87? 87 in the third, 123 in the fourth, 239 in the seventh, and a sixth round pick in 2026. I would not be pissed with something like that.
No, and like we said before, I think before we came on the show is that I think it depends on who's on the board at 35. And I know you're about to
Well,
pull up.
they took a corner.
So my thing is, what if? And I know we don't need it, and a lot of Titans fans will probably get on me. And I know you're going to pull up your mock draft here in a minute. But what if we're in that situation? Okay, we let's just say hypothetical. We've taken Cam Ward. We're there. This trade is proposed, but Genty's on the board still. Would you take Genty or would you take this trade?
If Genty's on the board still at 35, I would jump on Genty if he's there at 35.
So that's what I said. I like this, but it for me it still it means more who's on the board at that point in time for me.
Yeah. But where I went, of course, I know you love that number one pick, Cam Ward.
Yeah.
At pick 54 out of the trade with Green Bay, I grabbed Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas.
And I love that pick too. We was talking about that before the show as well. A lot of people's like, oh, he's just a deep threat. He's just a guy who runs streaks to take top off. He's a guy that you can run deep and the safeties have to respect it every time. So you can pull safeties out of coverage. You can pull safeties.
And that allows you to throw underneath.
Correct. You start opening up because then you make the safety pick. All right, you're going to go with Bond deep? Okay, cool. Then you open up that little 10, 15-yard spot right there. You can't cover both. All right, you're going to cover that underneath? Bond's gone, taking top off. So what you going to do? You really open that up. And then when you have Bond, that also will help open up the run game because the safeties are going to take a couple steps back because dude is fast. He might be Xavier Worthy type fast. Like he's fast.
I want to see what he runs at the combine.
I do too, because he got to be close to Xavier. I don't think he's going to break it. I don't think he's going to break his record, but he got to be close to Xavier.
If it's like 4.28 or 4.3 flat, I think he's a late first round guy.
That's what I'm worried about, man. They love taking wide receivers right around like that 17 mark. Oh no, they know. Stay away. No. You're not getting Worthy and no, that's cheating.
Damn boy.
But no, I would love it. I would love to have Isaiah Bond on our team because that's something we've tried to get for so many years and ain't had it. Yeah, and we tried it with so many different wide receivers over the years, and it
hasn't hit. Pick 87 out of that trade with Green Bay. I took edge rusher out of South Carolina, Kyle Kennard, who my stepdad actually got to see at South Carolina when A&M played at South Carolina. Dude's a force.
Yeah, man, I'm not upset. I'm not upset there because like so far we're addressing everything we need, and I'm happy with what you got so far.
At 102, Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, the corner out of Ohio State. Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas at 119. Opposite, because Quandre Diggs is gone. He's a free agent this year. Who do you put Mike Brown back there next to Hooker at this point? No. I think you also look at safety in the portal.
I mean, Why can't we try James Williams back at safety? Like, why do we pull on like I
You
he's
should.
6'4". He's 6'4". Why
It's
not let him be safety?
Tyler has said it's like putting Keith Bullock back at safety.
Bro, remember what Cam Chancellor used to do back in the day? He was 6'3". Like, go
Legion of Boom?
ahead, throw a
Legion
jump
of Boom?
ball up on a dude. Like, yes, and plus, like 6'4" safety, throw a jump ball. Most of your wide receivers ain't even like 6'3". They're like 6'2", 6'1" now. So throw a
Yeah.
jump ball on a 6'4" safety with a dude on his hip. Have fun. Like,
And then 123, which was the pick from Green Bay in the trade. Angie Cornelius, offensive tackle out of Oregon. We need tackle. And Oregon has been, in my opinion, one of the best when it comes to offensive line. Even though they run that spread offense. I don't think you saw Dylan Gabriel really get hit this year.
yeah, but they also get the ball out quick too. Like they get the ball out the hands really quick. So it's not.
Well, that's
how
why
you
I went
actually
there.
gonna-
That's why I went there in the fourth.
Yeah. So how are you actually going to hold when we do, a 7-step drop, when we do a 10-step drop? How are you going to do that? Or when we got routes that take, 2 to 3 seconds to develop because they're getting downfield with just 2 moves. So that's the only thing with Oregon linemen. Like they're usually good, but
It's
usually
like,
it's the second and third move that usually gets them because they're not used to countering that much.
Yeah. And then we go over to the fifth, running back Devin Neal out of Kansas, who was pretty freaking good this year. I went back offensive or defensive line with Elijah Roberts out of SMU. These small school guys have actually somewhat worked out for the Titans. I know he was an offensive lineman. Go look at Nate Davis when he was here.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best offensive linemen we've had outside of Jack Conklin from a small school.
Do you remember his old jacked up little stance he used to have at the beginning too, to looking like a damn frog? Oh my god! Oh, it turned
and
out to be
then
good.
At 180, I went back to the University of Texas. Jake Majors, offensive line or interior offensive line.
You gonna make T Sweat happy, bro? You gonna make Meatloaf happy?
That's what you want. Make your boy happy. Lane, the safety from Navy at 239. That's also with the trade from Green Bay. I think you have to address safety also. Definitely more than once in this draft, if you can. But this is the pick that we had a small discussion about, 241. Jimmy Horn Jr., wide receiver, Colorado. You're thinking that he's right there around 200.
Yeah, I don't see him, and he could. I don't know, man. I've had issues truly, especially in these later rounds, exactly where guys should be. But for Jimmy Horn, for me, I think he just got undershadowed so much because Shador was there, then Travis is there, Shiloh is there, Dion is there. But go
Wester.
turn on some Horn tape and go watch his, not just his highlights, but actually his game film. And there's still times like, the ball goes elsewhere. He's open too. He's open as well. There's more than one options for Shador to go to it sometimes.
That's what you want for the Titans. You want them to have guys open.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that. The one thing you didn't address linebacker.
I think you can find a decent linebacker if you do keep Kenneth Murray, because Baker's going to free agency. He's not coming back.
I think Cedric Gray is going to step up too if he can stay healthy this year. Because everybody's what happened to him last year? Like he was out all last year. I don't think he played a single game at all, and I don't think he even played training camp. But towards the end,
training camp, no.
So
he played like 4 at the end of the year.
I didn't think they let him come back. Did they?
Yeah.
They did? Okay. So
him and Williams were getting reps at linebacker.
That is correct. That is correct. But I just think you got to let him play and develop because Cedric Gray's tape, when you watch him at that North Carolina, he looked
Dude
like
was a
Nick
dog.
Bolton. Yes, so I just think he was unfortunate getting hurt this last year. You did want him kind of have a year to kind of understand what moves and translate in the NFL. So I got why bringing in Ernest, but I think next year he can step up, and him and Kenneth next to each other is actually going to be a good duo. But we still need some outside linebackers that can rush and then drop back in coverage from time to time as well. Like we got to get people kill us with the underneath a lot of times with our defenses, and especially now because our corners can hold the outsides and can hold the deep. That underneath drag routes, slant routes,
Yeah.
ins and outs, they live off of that. Screen routes, they live off of it on us now. Like, bro, they so many
They
screens tore
tee
us up
off
last
so
year.
easily.
Yep.
They tee off so easily on that
Yep.
because they know our linebackers can't cover.
Or
But
don't
the
even take the
best
right
way,
angles in pursuit.
exactly, the best way to learn your position is to just go out there and do it.
Yep. Yep. So I think Cedric will be good, but who we're gonna put out on outside linebacker in those situations? Like we got to find somebody. We might be able to find it in free agency, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean you're right. They ain't really good deep linebacker class either.
By then, there was really nothing left at linebacker.
I mean, I guess if you sit there and you draft those two safeties like you do in that situation, then you can keep Williams at linebacker and let him, put him outside and let him work.
Like he did at Miami.
Yeah, yeah.
But Firestone, thank you for taking time out of your night to come jump in and talk some Titans.
Oh, absolutely, man. I had a blast. Had a good discussion, man. This was a lot of fun, good topics, and man, I'm just excited to see what the Titans do in this offseason. Senior Bowl this weekend and stuff, man.
Which, if you have NFL Plus, you can find the Senior Bowl practices throughout the week at 3 p.m. And you can also find the Senior Bowl game Saturday at 2:30 Eastern.
Yeah, okay. Let me go because I'll be tuned in. I'll be watching reps because that's usually when you find the guys that stand
Find the
out
dogs.
and shock. Yeah, because some of these guys you didn't get to stand out as much because they were at smaller schools and like, okay, cool, they did that, but they did it to smaller competition or guys that's not really that competent. Then they show up here and go against big guys that are supposed to be the
Like
guys that are
SEC.
better.
Like
Yes, and
SEC
then they
level.
works them and dominates them on the play or on the drill, and you're like, okay, all right, you do got a little dog in you.
Okay. But where can people find TCP at?
Yes, Titans Coliseum Podcast. You can find us on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, X. Titans Coliseum Podcast, where we go live every Monday and Friday. We have shorts posted every single day. We have posts that we post on Facebook every single day, whether they're text posts, graphic posts to engage and keep you informed on news. So make sure you follow us everywhere because we do post exclusive content to each individual social media platform. As well, you can join us on Patreon for Titans Coliseum Podcast as well, and sign up there. And when we do giveaways, we always do our giveaways from our Patreon list. And you can sign up for our Patreon for free, or you can pay and join one of our tiers. Either way, you're still going to be eligible for those future giveaways just being on the Patreon list. So make sure you follow us on social media and go join us over there on Patreon.
Y'all heard him. Go find them. Go follow them. And over here, y'all smash the like button. Subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Because during the off season we'll go live either Monday or Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And when the season comes back, we're back to 2 days a week. We have a lot of stuff coming. We got draft board fixing to start forming, mock drafts, a lot of great guests coming in eventually throughout the off season. You may see a couple former Titans popping in here. Kevin Dyson, maybe.
There you go.
Blaine Bishop.
Hey, Blaine is a good guest to have on the show, man. We had a blast with him when he was on the show. Y'all's gonna absolutely love him, man. He's so fun to talk football with.
We've been trying to get Colton on here,
Yeah,
but it's just
and
been crickets.
it's man, he is working hard right now. Like he's finally
Trying to
getting
get
back off
back.
that ACL and
Finally.
trying to get back and play. So man, and we really needed him this year. Him at Gunner is going to be a difference maker on special teams, and he'll earn a
Oh, yeah.
slot up. I know Colton Dowell's not really
Our special
a name a lot
teams,
of. Yeah,
our special
yeah. So
teams will be way better, I feel like, under Bones.
oh, absolutely. But when Colton was a 7th round pick, and that first year, his rookie year, when he was playing, bro, he was the first guy on punts and kick returns. He was always the first guy down there to make the
Yeah.
tackle every single time. So we've just really missed that. He runs angles very well. He gets off of those blocks in those moments. So he does special teams very well. And if you can do that, usually you earn yourself a slot on a team somewhere. And I think Colton can definitely be somebody that can shock and move up the roster and move up the depth chart.
Well, Titans fans, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Stay classy and tighten up.
Tighten up! Let's get tightened up! Tightened up!